Hello there, one and all. Are you ready for this? And welcome to episode 373 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube. And always, thank you very much for tuning in, whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording. First comment today goes to Spaced Out, who says, Accord is really challenging to me. Smelling like Windex and pool water is not my cup of tea. And thank you very much for setting the tone for what will hopefully be an entertaining hour or thereabouts. Because I know it was only the other day that we did a list, but it was somebody who suggested in the live chat in the previous list, and I think it was Aria who says it was me, who said that maybe we ought to do something along the lines of the top 10 stinkers or the top 10 stink bombs, and I don't know who it was that then translated that into top 10 challenging perfumes, which I like the sound of a bit better. People commenting, finally caught alive from the start, says Jen. Oh, the list sounds exciting. Hopefully it will be. Benji says, I'm expecting 9 creeds and 1 perfume with an overdose of Woody Amber's Persolaise's Kryptonite. Milard says, good evening from Muscat. Maria says, hello from Warsaw. Tracy says, hello and fantastic subject. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching the live, obviously leave a comment, and hopefully this will generate an interesting and amusing discussion. But if you're watching the recording, feel free to leave a comment as well. We need to get going because we have 10 kind of plus 2. And we don't want to take up more than an hour. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do consider doing so. And if you would like to support my work, you can find out how you can do that by looking for the link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below. But let us talk very, very briefly about what the terms for this particular episode are. These are not my top 10 most disliked or my top 10 most hated perfumes. Because, well, number one, I thought, what would be the point in doing that? Because I'd just be smelling everything going, oh my goodness, I can't stand this, I can't stand this. That maybe would have been 9 creeds. I wanted to set a more interesting challenge for myself with these challenging perfumes. So they are all scents which, to varying degrees, to some extent or other, and for different reasons, I think are difficult to pull off, but not just because they're not likable. And even though they may be difficult to pull off, and even though I personally may not wear, I'm just looking now, I think out of these, I maybe only wear 2 or 3 of them. But in each of the cases, I find something... Oh, Natalia says, I'm expecting Encelade. That nearly made it onto the list. I thought I wondered about Encelade, but no. In each of the cases, there is something about them that goes way, 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 way beyond disliking them, and in a completely different category, that they are compelling and memorable and distinctive, sense that I thought, okay, I don't know if I'm ever going to wear this. I'm not even sure how much I like it, but I want to keep it in my collection. So things that... are just perplexing and confusing and strange and take you to places in an olfactory way that you didn't think you'd go to. And I think somebody else, the chat has sort of moved on, but somebody else says that, this is going to be extremely subjective. Yes, you're absolutely right. This is probably going to be considerably more subjective than these lists are, just by their very nature anyway. Top 10 lists and favorites are always subjective. But I have a feeling that when I start pulling some of these perfumes out, a lot of you are going to go, what was he talking about? That's not challenging at all. That's perfectly easy to wear. I wear it to bed. I wear it to take the grandchildren to preschool, etc., etc. What are you saying so far, though? Prashant says, challenging to wear. What about Towers Oud? Yeah, interesting one. That maybe could have made it on here. It's not, though. Alvaro says, I found Francesca Bianchi's perfumes to be really challenging. I couldn't understand Lover's Tale, for example. She's a good example. No Francesca's here. Mr. Aristeas says, I love this sort of perspective on things that are challenging. Yes, interesting challenging. Something that is demanding, that makes you work, even and maybe even at the end you think, okay, I kind of don't get it, but I also get why it's interesting. What else are people talking about? JP Music says Nuit de Bakelite from Naomi Gutze is challenging, but I love it. I mean, yeah, I love that too. And that's not on here, actually. Natalia says, personally, I find it challenging, but I see why people like it. Dusita's Oud, says Sharon. Yeah, see, that would have been a good one. That would have been a good one, but I'm not sure I've got that in my collection anymore. If I do, I've got like a tiny, tiny sample somewhere. There's going to be a slightly Arabic inflection to some of these perfumes. But, oh, and Aria makes a good point. It says, a lot of times these kinds of perfumes are growers and the ones that end up sticking with me the longest. Yeah, you're right. We should start because I've been rabbiting on for more than 5 minutes. And I think we need to get the most obvious one out of the way first. Several people have already guessed it and said, surely this one's going to be on here. We need to do this one. It would be sacrilege if this one weren't on the list. This is the probably the kind of definition of challenging perfumes in a way, even though it's kind of become infamous for being this challenging perfume. It is my tester bottle, and I'm kind of loath to show you the front of it full on, of Etat Libre d'Orange, Secretions Magnifiques, Magnificent Secretions, from 2006, composed by Antoine Lee. You knew this was coming. This had to be here. I forget in what context I actually most recently smelt this, but I have a memory of doing a video where I hadn't smelt it for a while. Yeah, let's. This room is going to smell really, really interesting, isn't it? Okay. See, I'm already kind of bracing myself for the gag reflex in a way. Why does it do that? Even though I know what to expect. Okay, so for those of you who are not, I'm doing 10 of the. Okay, no, but I'm looking at them, and there are plenty here that don't elicit that kind of a reaction from me. You'll need your carpet cleaned now. Yeah, I know. Madame Persolaise is not going to be impressed. For the few of you who aren't aware, this was one of the original Etat Libre d'Orange scents, and don't want to hold the blotter too close to me. The whole idea was that it was meant to be this kind of concoction of every single bodily secretion you can think of. Or was it the ones that start with the letter S? Because I think it just so happens that in French, the big ones, all of the big ones, start with the letter S. So you've got, is it sang for blood and saliva and other things starting with S? I don't think sweat starts with S in French. And I'm just seeing some of your comments now. But it isn't sweaty. But what it is that it's very, very, very metallic in that kind of bloody way, and it's very, very, very semen-like. You know the way that sometimes certain tree blossoms, I think is it sort of linden blossoms? Certain blossoms, especially on a really, really hot day, give off a really, really kind of strong semen-like quality. The smell of surgery, says Eric. M says, who buys full bottles of it? What is the market? Do you know? This is a very, very consistent good seller for the brand. And there are some people on whom it smells like a slightly strange floral. Because once you get past those weird, strange, metallic, silvery, animalic notes, you get to a kind of still very, very strange and very challenging, bizarre, saline marine jasmine. It is ultimately like white flowers growing out of the surface of the sea. It is strange, and I'm sure most of you out there have tried it. But if you haven't, as a piece of challenging olfactory art, it's amazing, and it's unique. JP Music says, never got the chance to smell Secretions. They didn't include it at the booth at Aix-en-Provence, unfortunately, probably because that's the one everyone wants to try. Maybe, but some people can pull it off. And it's really, really interesting. Mr. Aristea says, this is going to be such a fun video. pressed send too early before. I wish this sort of inclusive open-mindedness was more common across the art forms. The world would be a better place. You may well be right. Shimon says, sweat is, what is that? Sueur in French? Is that right? I didn't know that. Thank you. Prashant says, never really got round to smelling Secretions Magnifiques. Don't know if I'm missing an experience or I'm one of the lucky few. No, you have to try it. Everybody has to try it, okay? You never know. You might love it. It's, for some people, it's like a kind of bilge note. Yeah. And Gavin says, when I smelt it, the sales assistant brought it out from under the counter in a plastic bag and asked me to spray it outside. Yes, and a lot of sort of these myths have grown up around Secretions Magnifiques as well. It's become like the, what is it, the enfant terrible of the perfume world. Okay, what do I have Okay, second on the list is one that I do really, really genuinely adore and I wear, and people are divided on this one. There are loads and loads of people who can't take it and loads of people who say that it's actually quite tame and cuddly. In fact, somebody already I saw on the chat says that if this one comes up, they won't understand because it's quite tame and cuddly. I'm going to do this one second because it's in the thumbnail, and so if you saw the thumbnail first, you know what's coming up. This is Serge Lutens' Musc Koublai Khan from 1998, one of the ones composed by Christopher Sheldrake, as are the vast majority of them. Almost all of them are by Sheldrake. I think this has now become a bit of a kind. Is it a Belgiar exclusive or a Paris exclusive, or is it a Gratte-Ciel? I was fortunate enough to get it when it was in a, one of these normal bottles. And the greatest musk ever, says Aria. Well, it's certainly up there. Oh, and DJ says Musc Koublai Khan is tame. I don't think of it as tame, but it doesn't get that visceral gut reaction from me that Secretions does. Oh, Aria says it's in the Gratte-Ciel now for $400. Oh, it's such a shame when they do that, because those Gratte-Ciel are equally expensive in the UK. I think, are they just shy of £300 in the UK? Eric says, I have the same batch. It's so rosy and intimate. Okay, so what this is, see, to me, it's really, really dirty, but it's dirty in a kind of civilized way. You know those René Gruot images that he did for, I think they were mostly for Eau Sauvage, which showed like a naked man, or you only saw a little bit of the naked man, like maybe one sort of bottom cheek and maybe a little bit of, sort of suggestion of hairy leg. It was safe, it was cute, but it was also very definitely animalic, and it made its point clear. This is like that. This to me, and the image that I think I used in my book was that it's somebody who's doing their ironing in the nude because they're in a rush and they're just about to jump into the shower. And the ironing reference is very, very deliberate because there is also a strong steamed note here. So you get really, really dirty, dusky, earthy florals. Somebody mentioned rose, and there is a really, really filthy rose in here. The musks are super animalic, but in a cuddly kind of way. So yes, there is a suggestion of barnyard in there, but to me, it's not off-putting. And then at the top of it all, and I don't know what does that, is something really, really steamy. So this is like hammams, and it's, I don't know, images of the ancient Greeks and Alexander the Great and the Crusaders and maybe Kublai Khan. It's not dirty at all on me, truly, says Eric. See, interesting. See, these ones I also I'm kind of not allowed to wear when I'm around Madame Persolaise, because she reacts quite negatively to a lot of these, which is why I included it, because it is a challenging one, but I think really, really stunning, really, really beautiful. Gavin says Musc Koublai Khan adds up to something disgusting, but all its parts are quite pleasant. Interesting way of putting it. Okay. The most challenging Serge, in my opinion, says Aria, is Serge Noir. Yeah, that's a good mention in this context. The opening has the most horrifying body odor accord, and apparently it's Monsieur Lutens' personal favorite, like old dry drains, says Rich Mitch. But which one do you mean? Do you mean Musc Koublai Khan or Serge Noir? Spaced Out says Serge Noir is really acrid to me. Yeah, it is a strange one. I agree. Okay, Now, we next go to 2010, to one that I don't think I've ever mentioned on this video before, and I hardly ever smell it, and I deliberately didn't smell it while preparing for this, because I thought, okay, let's go with my memory. And my memory of this was of being quite off-putting, quite strange, quite shocking, quite hard to take, challenging. I don't have the proper bottle. I still have the a lab sample bottle that I was given for review purposes back in the day. And it's from Byredo of all brands. Now, somebody wondered whether I would include Ink. And I could have. That certainly is the other Byredo that I would have included here. But I've talked about that one a fair bit. That's a really, really fascinating inky metallic scent. But this is their Accord Oud. And just before going live, I checked to make sure this is still available, because as far as possible with these lists, I try to go for perfumes that have not been discontinued, or that are at least are fairly easy to obtain. Let's see, because I remember kind of not liking this very much, but not wanting to get rid of the sample either, thinking that it might make an interesting reference scent to have one day. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about music for a while. You see, I wondered about that one. There is another Mal here, actually. I wondered about music for a while, because that's such an oddity. People saying it's perfection, Gavin saying it's challenging. So this Oud Accord. Shimon says, Byredo is challenging to me because every perfume is totally forgettable. Have you smelled Ink? That's not forgettable. You might not like it, but it's not forgettable. So this is now, it's got a, I think what's weird about it is that it's like the most medicinal that you could make oud. It's stripped of the barnyard elements. It's really not got very much of the leathery elements. It doesn't have very much of the spicy elements. And it's all that Band-Aid stuff and the medicinal side of oud that you get in a lot of them has really, really been pushed up. And yet there's just about enough of the rest of it to kind of justify being called oud. But at the same time, it's kind of urinous and blackcurranty and cat hissy and quite herbal. I notice people aren't commenting on this one. Is this because you're not sort of familiar with it? And it's just, I don't know, it just makes my skin crawl. But at the moment, smelling it now, you know what it's making me think of? It's making me think of Caron's Yataghan, which is another one that I've always found difficult, because I actually, very unusually for me, I got rid of my bottle of it. I gave it away to somebody who liked it way more than I did, because with that there was always like a strange stewed celery, overboiled vegetable note that I couldn't take. And this is kind of heading in that direction as well, something that goes beyond aromatic, goes beyond pleasantly herbally aromatic, and just goes into like strange, screechy, medicinal pine territory. Gavin says Yataghan is aggressive, woody wrongness. So maybe this is aggressive, medicinal wrongness. It's very strange. Very strange. Lots and lots of comments about music for a while. That seems to be quite divisive. I still have my sample bottle of that one as well. Maybe I should revisit that, but I couldn't get past the pineapple note. I just couldn't cope with that. I just sort of had shades of the most awful kind of Abigail's party type thing. But animalic musks I find challenging. Tomasz says, Byredo's Sunday cologne is not forgettable to me, but this one is an exception, though some may say it is too safe a scent, but I like the cardamom and citruses in the opening. Fair enough. DJ says, music for a while smells like you spilled tinned pineapples on yourself. Yes, and it is tinned pineapples, isn't it? It is just... Anyway, so this is... Maybe I have to say it's kind of mellowed over the years, and I don't think I'm finding it as shocking as I did. But yeah, very strange. Rachel, thank you very much. Rachel says, Jiki is challenging. And you know, I came really close to including Jiki here, but I thought But I thought ultimately, no, I actually do find it too beautiful. But Jiki can be quite challenging because of that civet note. So do check Jiki out. Yeah. Okay. We're on to number 4. We need to get a move on. Fourth on my list. Okay. Now, this is one we have talked about here. And I'm cheating a little bit with this one because this particular version of it is no longer available. So from 2015, this is Bat from Zoologist. Oh, somebody just said Eau d'Hermès. Now, that's a good mention as well. I could have included that here because that's proper stinky, but it's not on this list. What is that quirky packaging, says Musc in Heaven. This is not the proper packaging from the brand. This is just a sample that I got myself. So the original Bat, which was by Ellen Covey, I think then got kind of like shelved. I think there was some sort of a dispute. And the Bat that we now have from Zoologist is a version from 2020 made by Prin, was it Lomros? And I mean, I believe, I'm told that the current is fairly similar to the original. But look, I don't even want to spray very much of it because this is important to kind of have as a reference, I think, because this is so bizarre. So what I'm going to do is dip the blotter in here so that I'm not wasting too much in a spray, as it were. Amazing color it's gone. Now, oh gosh, how many of you did they change the name after COVID? I don't think they changed. Sorry, I had to do that because I just dropped the blotter. Couche du Diable was very challenging for me. It smells like you just opened a can of tomato paste, says Paroli, yeah. Even Antaeus can be challenging if overdosed, says JP Music. Yes, you're totally right. You know, we could sort of go through a list of Dior's Jules. Anyway, Bat. Ooh, see, that's on a level. That's on a level with Secretions Magnifiques for me. And I've almost kind of given myself a Pavlovian response to this scent because I remember the very, very, very first time I talked about it on one of these videos. I described this image, you know, of from the Francis Ford Coppola version of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I love as a film. I mean, it's so insanely over the top that it just works brilliantly. I think there's like one shot of Gary Oldman playing Dracula, sort of just kind of as though he's on a hinge in his casket, in his what's the word I'm looking for? In his coffin. Thank you very much. Just kind of going like that. It's it just completely smells like you think that Gary Oldman's Dracula is in the room with you and is just about to have his way with you and to devour you and destroy you. It's oh, Rebecca says, thank you very much. I knew there was a story behind this. The original Bat is now Night Flyer by Olympic Orchids, and it's gorgeous. And Aria says she sells it as Night Flyer now, but it's the same formula as original Bat. Thank you very much. It's like going into the most horribly dank, damp, mold-ridden cave. I mean, it really, really smells like the kind of place where a bat would dwell and would live. It feels like you need to kind of get the mold spray onto it. But it's fascinating. I mean, it's so utterly unique. And there have been some other brands which, for the purposes of today's video, will remain nameless, that I think have taken the kind of central idea of Bat and tried to make it a little bit more palatable in their own releases in order to make them feel edgy and interesting and strange. And somebody said, who said banana? I just saw banana peel. There is something weirdly green banana-like about it. Oh, it's so strange. It's really bizarre. Oh. Woozy says, have you tried Sombre by Prin? It has a rotting flesh accord. No. Plus the main accords of Secretions Magnifiques. No, I haven't. That sounds like a must try. Sharon says, the original Bat does have a dank cave and rotten fruit feeling. I think it's kind of fun. Yes, and I mean, fascinating, utterly fascinating. Katrina says, I find most of these zoologist offerings challenging. I can't imagine myself wearing any of them, but they always make me smile because of their creativity. And then Gavin brings the tone right down, says, I would label Champs-Élysées by Guerlain as challenging. I think that's much maligned. I mean, okay, it's not a masterpiece, but jeez, God. Ooh, okay, please tell me the next one on the list is one that I actually enjoy a little bit more. Yes, it is. This one I have pinched from Madame Persolaise's collection, and she appears to have lost the cap of the bottle. So words will be had after this broadcast. This is a brand we don't talk about enough, I think. Maybe, well, their work is more difficult to get hold of in the UK and in Europe than it is in the Middle East. In the Middle East, they're absolutely a household name. In India, they're a household name. Apparently, according to the internet, this is a 2001 release, and the brand is Ajmal. So this is there without a cap, I'm afraid. You can go online to see what the cap looks like. This is their Dahn Oud al-Shams, which I think means the Oud of the sun. Is Shams, sun? And let's have a spray. And this is the kind of thing that Madame Persolaise likes sometimes. It's a really, really well done, properly stinky oud. I see, for that I love that kind of thing. Seriously, if you go onto the Ajmal website, and if they ship samples to where you are, try to get a sample of this. I wouldn't be at all surprised if a lot of the oud in here is synthetic. If you go to an Ajmal shop in Dubai, for sure, I mean, I can speak for Dubai, and if you say to them, do you have any synthetic oud oils, they will quite happily sort of say to you, yeah, you can buy this synthetic one and that synthetic one, and this is a real one, and this is a blend, etc., etc. And they have some pretty amazing synthetic ones. Oh, Shabir says, I got that, then had to give it away. There you go. Omar says, tried this. It actually sells really well here in Saudi Arabia, having visited Ajmal, a funky oud. I'm not at all surprised that it sells well. I mean, I do think it's beautiful. I think it's stunning. Ajmal is very popular here in India, says Prashant. Yes, I have really, really fond memories of going to, is it Muhammad Ali Road in Mumbai, and seeing all the perfume shops along there. Lots and lots of Ajmal shops in India as well. I think originally, actually, it was an Indian company, an Indian family that set it up, unless I'm mistaken. But this is really growling with fierce animalics, and so it's fecal and civet-like and barnyardy and unwashed and clovey and spicy and cinnamony and leathery, and it's also big, really, really woody, really leathery. It is kind of everything that you would want a really properly Arabian oud to be. Maybe a kind of saffron note in there. It doesn't it doesn't overplay the florals. I'm sure there are some florals in there, but it really just kind of goes animal, huge cat purring away. And it's fascinating, and also really, really burnt, which is maybe why the sun reference is good. Omar says, smells a bit moldy. Yeah, maybe, but then so does oud in a way, right? Criviette says, just subscribed. Thank you very much, and very happy to catch the end of your live. Well, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Don't sign me off just yet. And actually, that's a good moment, nearly at the half-hour mark, for me to say, if you are enjoying the video, please give it a thumbs up, because that really helps with spreading the word about the channel on YouTube. Tomasz says, one of the most challenging scents for me is Serge Lutens Serge Noir. Yes, we've talked about that one. M says, I don't think I have many challenging ones when I think about it, but Urban Musk by Tom Ford has a barnyard, almost fecal-like opening, but it dries down more pleasant to a honey vanillic musk. And Rebecca, now I like the sound of this perfume, Rebecca says, Nebbia densa is dank, like a smoky fire inside a damp cave mixed with tomato leaf. My sweetheart says it smells like being behind a diesel truck carrying rotting vegetables. That is a superb description. You get description of the video, I think. And I love it, says Rebecca. Alan says, as an obsessed oud enthusiast, I suppose the bulk of my collection is challenging and objectionable to most, but you just carry on wearing it. Yeah, I love this stuff. Okay, we've done 5, and so we're going to take a little bit of a detour into the 2 that I mentioned that are no longer with us. One, I don't think you can get this one very easily anymore, maybe in the brand's boutique in London, but it is the one that I really, really, really love from 2010, Absolue pour le Soir from Maison Kurkdjian, composed by Kurkdjian himself, obviously. Just so many of us in this perfume circle, in this perfume community, absolutely adored and adore this scent, but it didn't do terribly well, and Captain Kirk said that he can't keep pushing scents that aren't selling at all well, and I personally don't understand why people find it challenging. With a few years ago, a close relative had a big birthday, and so he asked if my present to him could be that we go out shopping for a perfume, actually, sort of going around shops in London and smelling different things, and then I said that when he chose his favorite, I would buy it for him, and this is the one that he went for. He really, really loved it. This was back when you could buy it. But he hardly ever wears it because his partner can't stand it on him, because she just says it stinks and she finds it disgusting. So there you go. Some people really, he clearly gravitated towards it. And out of all of the things that we smelled across that whole day, this is the one that he went for, and his partner hates it. I think it's beautiful. It's really, really snuggly animalic to me. It's a kind of really interesting interplay between something like orange blossom, but also honey and civet. It's really, really animalic. The honey brings an animalic note to it as well. And then also by extension becomes leathery. It's spicy as well. I remember in my original review of it over on Persolaise.com, I smelt it round about the same time as smelling Leather Oud, and I kind of had a sort of brain explosion, because those two just kind of blew my mind, and I love them, and I have a backup bottle, and I don't wear it a huge amount because I want to save it. I wish they would bring it back, says Sharon. Yeah, I hope he brings it back as well. And people are saying it's completely different from Grand Soir, because yes, I know that people sort of say, okay, well, we've still got Grand Soir, but that really is quite different, isn't it? And then the other one that is a kind of plus one, plus two to this game, so this is discontinued, is one that was really one of the strangest mainstream scents that we've had in this century, in the 21st century, also originally from 2010, but the brand kind of bottled out and didn't push it, or maybe because it just sold disastrously. It is Womanity from, thank you very much, Uzi, from Mugler, composed by Fabrice Pellegrin. I've got a bottle of the original EDT somewhere, but I couldn't find it today. So what I'm going to share with you today is a bottle of the 2012 limited edition, when they did the scents of leather. This was the packaging for it. What does it say? Was it like, it was some kind of 20 years of Angel or 20 years of Mugler perfumes? So this was an EDP that they released, which had a kind of leathery note to it. I always thought Womanity was fascinating. I mean, terrible name. I'm sure the name did not help. Really, actually quite comical, ridiculous name. Where can we pop that? And I knew several people who actually wore it really, really well. But yeah, I will need to wear Womanity today, says Nancy. M says, personally, I don't find Womanity challenging. Well, great, but smelling it now, it's actually not a million miles away from Secretions Magnifiques, because it also has that strange saline oyster seaweed accord. M says, sometimes indolic and animalic jasmine scents can give me a migraine, though. Do you mean in relation to this? Because I can see why you'd say that. And it went into like fishy territory. It was, but also something spicy coming through, and almost like coriander-like and cumin-like. It was really, really, really unique. And I think it marked the very, very first instance of Mugler as a brand chickening out, because, we know that Angel was not at all an instant hit. It took a lot of time and a lot of faith and a lot of persistence on the brand's part to turn Angel into the monster that it is today. The same could be said to a certain extent about Alien. The same, I think, could be said about their cologne. And then Amen as well. And then they were really, really brave and kind of pushed the envelope again with Womanity. But the advertising campaign was strange. The bottle didn't, the bottle was kind of awkward and odd. I think the main thing was that the name was just all wrong. And it kind of disappeared very soon after that. And then what did we get after that? We got Aura, which was really, really, Mugler playing it safe. But they're here as our honorary guests. So we have got 5 more to go. I should say, at this sort of halfway-ish point, that you're watching episode 370, I can't remember, 373 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, and what we're doing today is presenting my top 10 challenging perfumes. So not necessarily scents that I dislike, but scents that I find interesting, fascinating, scents that I consider to be difficult to pull off, difficult to wear, but compelling and curious and perplexing nonetheless. Katerina says, I loved Womanity so, so much. It pulled my heartstrings. Unfortunately, I finished it without realizing it was discontinued. If you look online, I don't know where you live, but if you live in a country where there are sort of like resale sites available, I bet it wouldn't be very difficult to get a bottle of Womanity. You can still find its STK. Anyway, moving on. So we are now on number 6 of the official top 10, and okay, we need to start getting filthy again. This is a scent that came out as an extrait in 2012. And then as an eau de parfum in 2014, and I have the EDP, so I have the 2014 EDP. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to guess, but this is from Parfum d'Empire. You can see I don't wear this very much, even though I adore it. From Parfum d'Empire, composed by Marc-Antoine Corticchiato, as are all of the scents from the brand. Musc Tonkin. And this is, somebody said that MKK, that Musc of Lycan is the best musk ever. I think this is a very, very strong contender for that as well. I mean, this is dirty. Where can we pop that? Talking of challenging perfumes, Prashant, had my girlfriend smell Les Indemodables Rose de Jamal a few weeks ago. She got a bad migraine, almost passed out. Really? But that's like just a really pleasant, minty rose that then goes to a gorgeous dry down. I wonder what it was. Maybe she couldn't take the mintiness. That's fascinating. This is lava. This is molten lava. Is yours an extrait or EDP? My version is an extrait. No, this is the EDP. I don't think the extrait came in as large a bottle as this. Did it? Oh, I don't know. I don't think it did. I've got a few drops in a kind of vial, I think, of the extrait. This is... Christine says, I love Musc Tonkin, a bit like Dead Mouse. Why do I like it? Do you know what? Even though over the years we have had our encounters with mice at Maison Persolaise, and I have had to kind of do the humane traps and then take them off, somewhere. I've yet to have the pleasure of smelling Dead Mouse, and I hope I'd never have that pleasure. So I don't know. Maybe dead mice become rather pungent and attractive smelling. But this is raunch. This is real. This is like every single politically incorrect James Bond title sequence coming at you with gushing, extra shots of gushing lava. But it's also really, really sly somehow. Woozy says, to me, the extrait is much more of a chypre. I guess the EDP accentuates the animalic aspect. Well, I'm not saying it's not a chypre, but some chypre can be challenging as well, right? It's so beautifully balanced. Like the Musc of Lycan is kind of more out there, isn't it? It's a bit more overtly flirty, or dirty, I should say. Dirty, not flirty. Simone the cat says, we had a dead mouse in the office a few weeks ago. I'm still traumatized by that smell. God, but I really don't think this is dead mouse. But it's, got that kind of spicy, body odory, ombrette seed thing happening. I don't know what the other musk materials are in there. And I'm sure what makes it really, really sensual is, again, a very, very well-judged floral note. It could be rose, it could be ylang ylang, but it's so well-balanced. And something really uplifting at the top as well. I wonder if there's like a good use of aldehydes. Really great, really great. But a lot of people find it very difficult. Woozy says, I find their Tabac Tabou to be much more animalic on me. The green animalic opening is much more pungent. Zvika says, as a newbie, my challenging scents were Divine Attraction and Gucci Guilty Absolute getting there. We're all, you know, one man's challenging or one person's challenging and there's another person's cuddly. So, you know, it's absolutely fine. Ooh, I enjoy that one. And what have we got next? Number 7. Now, number 7, don't shoot me, okay? Because a lot of you, especially you boys out there, will be going, what the hell does he mean this is challenging? It's an absolute classic. I agree it's a classic. I agree it's genius. I agree I love it. I agree it's amazing and unique and distinctive and never to be repeated. And it's a shame as well that it's been kind of reformulated. But I do think it's challenging. And I struggle to wear it because I kind of think I'm sending out a very aggressive vibe if ever I wear it. Gavin, thank you very much. You've got it. It is Yves Saint Laurent's Kouros from 1981. This bottle, sadly, is not from 1981. I don't think this one counts as a vintage, even though this one's getting on a bit as well. And of course, it's composed by Pierre Bourdon, all-time classic masculine from the 80s. Let's have a spray. And what makes this one fascinating is its kind of juxtaposition of the greens with the animalics. It's got such a sharp, hissy green herbal Artemisia note. It's so 80s as well. I mean, I do love it, but I think it's one of those things that wears me rather than me wearing it, and I think it's also kind of not me. Gavin says, I spray it, and then there's a point when I just want it washed off. Dirty bath mat note. Yes, I know. So very strongly civet-like, very herbal aromatic, weirdly green, you know, a kind of green that you become kind of like colorblind to. You sort of almost don't see the green anymore. But also bizarrely synthetic. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it has quite a hefty dose of dihydromercenol in there, that kind of material that is strangely citrusy, strangely glass-like, strangely woody, you know, just a kind of the smell of an android. Oh, Sharon, thank you very much. It's just when these colors come up, I think, oh, I must say thank you. Love this list. Will we see De Profundis today? No. Oh, interesting you say that. I don't think I find that one particularly challenging, but I've done the Lutens for today. Thank you very much, Sharon. That's really kind. Smells like a urinal, says Aria. Yes, maybe, yeah. Because maybe it smells like those kinds of things that they put in urinals sometimes. You know, things that, you know, to keep them clean, that smell sort of weirdly bleachy and almost mothbally. It's got a kind of mothball feel to it as well. Maybe because it's like super, not scatological, but is it like weirdly indolic? Or maybe it is scatological. I don't know. It's very strange. It's very strange. Body Kouros is fab, says Gavin. Eucalyptus and gingerbread. Yeah, I love Body Kouros as well. And I love this, but I mean, it's so unique. And nobody, I think, ever even tried to go where with this. Tracy says, I find Lone Star Memories really challenging. Lots of people do. But I love it because of the challenge, the dry dustiness before going through everything to get to the warmest base. I adore Towers Lone Star Memories. And then I was a bit taken aback when I found out that it's considered to be a kind of Marmite scent. I thought, really? Mabette is challenging, says Pradeep. Yes, yeah, I go along with that one. Gavin says this is a person who hasn't washed his coat on the bus. Oh, and interesting, Smark says, my husband claims L'Heure Bleue smells like mothballs. I think he's bonkers. A lot of people think it smells like Play-Doh. So go figure. Strange, but powerful. I mean, you know, one of the best things we've ever had in perfumery, and certainly one of the best things that we've ever had from Pierre Bourdon. Okay, we have got 3 to go, and I'm keeping the last one as a kind of bit of a surprise. The last one is maybe the kind of outlier. It's the one that I really and ahed about including. But the next one is one that when it came out, I found very challenging, wasn't a big fan of, but again, didn't get rid of my sample because I thought, you know, maybe one day I'll get it. It's from 2016, from Frederic Malle, Monsieur, composed by Bruno Jovanovic. And it came out round about the same time as Patchouli, was it Patchouli Absolute from Tom Ford, which was just like, to me, all of the wrongest aspects of patchouli. And I think I felt the same way about Monsieur. Now, one of my best friends in the whole world loves this and, pulls it off. But let's have a smell. Yeah. Okay, see, I don't find it now, with the passage of the years, as shocking as I did, but it's still strange. This is just patchouli hardcore, says Gavin. Yes, but certain aspects of patchoulis, and I think when they do this fractional distillation of the patchouli business, and when they kind of take out the earthier elements, what they're left with is something that is so super camphoraceous and somehow reedy and thin smelling, that I don't know, it was like Frederic Malle dipped a little bit too far into the 70s with this one. Now, you see, I wondered about including Uncut Gem, but Uncut Gem I actually don't find particularly interesting, and I don't much like. Who knows? Maybe, give it another 5-6 years, I might change my mind. Very, very divisive, though, Uncut Gem. Lots and lots of kind of people in the perfume community here in the UK really, really dislike it and don't understand why it's won awards. But this was at least intellectually a bit more interesting. But you see, even now, it's doing that patchouli thing where it's actually starting to go almost into that urinal territory, but I find in a less interesting way than Kouros. But I didn't dislike it as much as Tom Ford's Patchouli Absolute. I think Patchouli Absolute is gone. I remember I spilt some at the Tom Ford counter at the Salon de Parfum in Harrods, the top floor at Harrods. I spilt some onto the cuff of the coat I happened to be wearing, and oh my goodness, I could not get that scent off for weeks and weeks and weeks. And yeah, that was not my favorite spillage incident. Gavin says Fahrenheit, the original Fahrenheit, was challenging. Ironically, I think Uncut Gem is an attempt to do a modern masculine like Fahrenheit. Yeah, see, even as a teenager, I never found Fahrenheit challenging. I wore it to death. Did you already mention which two you actually wear, says Omar? Oh, good point. No, I don't think I did. I wear MKK. I wear Musc Koublai Khan. I sometimes wear Musc Tonkin. I wear one of the ones that I'm going to show you. I wear the last one. And Absolue pour le Soir, but I know that's not in the top 10. So I think those would be the ones. But about night clubbing from Celine, says LR. I think it's gorgeous and I love to wear it, but it's the smell of the end of a long night and some people think it's gross. Yeah, I don't get the night clubbing thing. I actually found that one quite tame. I mean, interesting, but yeah, relatively tame. We're on to the last two. Now, for number 9, there is one that I haven't smelt for a very, very, very long time. And I thought, okay, let me go with my memory of it. And I remember when it came out, sharing the sample with friends, and a lot of them thinking, this is just the smell of every single thing that could possibly be wrong under the sun. It's like the smell of a psychopath on a killing spree type thing. Was it Katie Puckrick who said that Secretions Magnifiques was the smell of a crime scene? Well, we all thought at the time this was the smell of a criminal. I deliberately did not re-smell it before this broadcast, so it may be that I spray it and I think, oh, actually, the years have been kind to it. And I wonder how many of you out there have smelt it. It's from 2010. No, sorry, it's from 2012. Composed by Aurélien Guichard, and it's the oud that he did for Piguet. Okay, so it's Oud de Robert Piguet, and it is still in the range as far as I'm aware. I'm almost a little bit worried about spraying this. It was certainly one of the bravest ouds I had ever smelt. Katie Puckrick's reviews were a treat, says Timothy. Yeah, she doesn't do them. Well, she hasn't done them for. She's off touring, I think. Isn't she touring with Iggy Pop? Okay. Let's try this. Maybe I won't overspray this one. Where can we pop that? Let's pop that on here. Okay. I find Piguet Oud very safe and likable, says Shabir. Okay, so yeah. It's not like instantly murdering me. That poor spot on the floor. I know what I'm actually spraying. We keep some Lego for when little ones come round. Just here, just below this table, in a plastic container. I don't know if you can hear me. So I'm actually spraying it on the lid. So the next time they come round, they're going to be wondering why their Lego lid smells like this. Okay, so my memory of it, maybe my memory of it was incorrect. Although no, my memory of my reaction to it is not incorrect because it wasn't just me who reacted to it, but it's now coming across. Let's just do one more spray on the Lego. Sorry, kids. Okay, that's a better spray. Maybe it's just kind of died in there. Okay, it seems to maybe the serial killer's been imprisoned. You know, maybe this is Hannibal Lecter. Mayotte is another challenging Garlin, or Mahora, says Gavin. Now I've got a bottle of that. Yeah, that would have been an interesting one. Okay, so this is now just kind of quietly weird. It's not especially oody, but it's somewhere between unwashed human being and rotting wood and just something kind of Velcro-y spicy. It does. Maybe it's got a lot of woody ambers, and that's why it's kind of going up my nose. Or maybe when it came out, we weren't yet used to all of the woody ambers that we've been inflicted with now, and so maybe that's why this felt like such an onslaught. Your serial killer has been rehabilitated in the bottle, says Gavin. Do you know what? Let's with this one. Let's just do some on the back of my hand because I'm just really curious as to what on earth it was that I found so shocking back in the day. And it could be that we have become less sensitive to woody ambers. I mean, it does still kind of feel wrong. It's got a kind of metallic quality that's coming through. And perfumes do mellow with age in the bottle, says Gavin. Yes, you're absolutely right. And this is one of the original ones that I got from 2012. Yeah, I think it's the metallic quality that combined with this rotting woodiness that just felt wrong. It just felt like stay away from that weirdo in the corner. Do you know what I mean? Creepy. I think that was it. I think it was creepy. Really seedy and unsavory. And it does still have that quality, but maybe in a more muted way. Alan says, did you just say less sensitive to woody Allen? No, to woody ambers, If anything, we've become more sensitive to woody Allen. And finally, need to make sure we finish this before the hour is up. Now, this is going to be a slightly controversial one, but I wanted to finish with one that I actually love. I do really like this perfume. I love the brand. But a lot of people find this one very difficult. I gather it's one of the better sellers for the brand. So clearly there are plenty of people out there who like it. So this is from 2018, composed by Olivier Cresp for his own brand, the brand that he founded with his daughter. The brand is called Acro, and this is Night. Okay. Now, Night is interesting because of its cumin note. So actually, because there's a cumin note, we should do this on skin, really, because cumin, like notoriously, doesn't come out very well on paper. So second back of the hand spray. Where can we pop this? Let's pop that over here. Make a little room. Make sure we can see everything nicely. And Night is just the smell of a truly, oh, this is really good. Of a properly debauched soiree. I think the idea with the scent is that it's meant to be a one-night stand, but I think you can have that sort of an encounter with somebody that you've known for a very, very long time as well, and that maybe you're in a, you know, steady and monogamous relationship with. I find all the acro scents challenging, says Rachel. Ah, interesting. There you go. A lot of people do. A lot of people find them just a little bit too direct and too on the nose. But I kind of like their bolshiness. I like their very, very, very uncompromising quality. Scariest cumin fragrance for me is Diptyque's second fragrance, L'Autre. I wondered as well about including L'Artisan Parfumeur's original Al Oud, but then that's been discontinued because that's a cumin bomb. Anyway, this is a lot of cumin, but also beautiful musks in the base, something really, really kind of, you know, imagine Musc Tonkin and this getting in the same room together, but also lipstick and makeup. You know, that there is a person wearing this. It's got that kind of strange rosy violet thing that spells lipstick, and maybe almost even like the powderiness of makeup. And it's very, very hot, as in temperature hot, and sweaty, of course, with the cumin, and dance floory, and it's just the smell of wild abandon and debauchery, but in a very kind of modern, in a very sort of urbane way. Acro puts the B in subtle. Nice one. I like what you did there. I love night. Gino says, you might have something genius there. Host a party with wear your most challenging perfume. Oh my goodness, can you imagine? That would be like poison. See, you know, poison you could have had here as well. It's a Maynard scent, says Gavin. Yes. Okay, and let's just go to the Piguet Oud again. Yeah, it's just unsettling. Oh, and also I should give a shout out to, who remembers from Guerrilla Perfumes from Lush, Lord of Goathorn. That was strange. That was also wrong. That was like seaweedy and kelpy and bizarre. Anyway, we are nearly at the 1 hour mark. Thank you very much for putting up with this. Thank you very much for sitting through this list of the top 10 challenging perfumes with our plus twos. Please stay tuned to social media for details of more videos coming your way, including one tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time. We have the next episode of our masterclass series with Remy Pulveray of Les Indemodables. And yeah, as I say, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. I will see you very soon. Until then, be good. Bye now.